Helen here, and it's another episode of Conversations with Compassion. If you don't know me, I'm Helen Ferguson. I'm a trauma-informed therapist and emotional empowerment coach, and I help women emotionally recover from trauma, challenging life experiences, and emotional overwhelm. And I help high-achieving professional women do that so that they can then stand confidently in their self-belief, their self-worth, in their business, in their relationships, and in their life, and in themselves. And Conversations with Compassion it came about because of my passion for compassion and for self-compassion. That self-compassion is an empowering process in the healing journey from traumatic experiences, from overwhelm, and from challenging life experiences that bring a trauma response to our emotions and our psychology. So it came about because I'm really passionate about destigmatizing the idea that self-compassion is lazy, it's self-indulgent, you don't have time for it, it's all candles and baths. And so I've got some amazing women lined up and through to October, November time. And today I've got Pollie with me, and I'm so excited to have Pollie because she's incredible in the work that she does as well. I'm not going to introduce her any more than that because she can do it far better than me. So Pollie, it's over to you. Oh, just one thing, I've got a Facebook user says hi. I'm just going to pop that in the comments. But Facebook user, I don't know who you are if you haven't said to StreamYard that you give permission for me to see your name. So hi, I'm really glad that you're here, but I don't know who you are. So please either just give StreamYard permission or let us know in the comments who you are so that we can say hi. But there's the tech bit over. So Pollie, please just, welcome you, welcome to this. And I'm so pleased that you agreed to come on with me and be part of these conversations. And just take a minute to introduce yourself to the watchers. Anybody and we have three watchers so far. So please introduce yourself and say what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That was a lovely introduction for yourself. It was really lovely to hear.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm hello everybody. I am Pollie, and I'm the heart, mind and soul behind Dandelion Tales. Hello me.
I know. Sorry, it's me.
Yes.
Can you please just say sorry, it's me? Someone, your name.
Sorry, me. Hi, me. Yeah, sorry. I'm the heart, mind, and soul behind Dandelion Tales, and I help empower women through story. We listen to story so much more than we listen to anything else. We've listened to story. It's been part of our life since we developed fire. As soon as we had that extra time in our lives, in our day to kill when we were sat around the fire, it was. Sorry, I've misjudged the light. It's coming through now. I'm just going to move. Sorry, I'm in my parents' spare bedroom because I'm on holiday for the week.
And we're interrupting your holiday.
One of my self-compassion weeks, because what I do is I just revert to childhood and let my parents take over with the children and just relax and enjoy myself. So yeah, anyway, back to what I do. Yeah, story has been with us since we developed fire. We've used it for telling lessons, teaching each other things, telling people about what's going on in the next village, learning laws, learning about how to be a good person, how to be a productive person. Even the 3 little pigs that we all remember, that's all about working hard and reaping the rewards from working hard, or moving on in life from like reception to year 1 and year 2 because you work a little bit harder and you work a little bit harder. So there's lessons in all of the fairy stories that we've been told as we're growing up, and we tell each other stories. This is why soap operas are so popular, and films and everything. It's all story. So we tell ourselves stories as well. So what I help people do is to pick out the problem stories and rewrite them so that they're popular, they're positive stories, they're more correct stories, and we challenge the stories that we're listening to and we're hearing all the time. So the societal stories that are coming into us left, right, and centre, we get told stories about our gender, our sex, our identity, within our cultures, within our religions, within everything. We are told stories constantly about different things. So it's picking out the stories that are not serving us anymore and working them through so that they become a more positive and empowering story. And I also help business women with their business story and how to find it and tell it and create a story that their ideal clients will really connect with and that they're comfortable to tell. Because a lot of the time I find that if you're not comfortable telling the story, it's not going to come out properly. You've got to be, you've got to believe the story. It's got to be a true story. You've got to be comfortable telling it. If you're not comfortable telling about a traumatic event, then don't tell about that.
Don't tell about it. Yeah.
Comfortable in telling. And I've had to learn to be very compassionate within myself, within my life and within my business, for myself more than anybody else, because I can't be compassionate to anybody else if I'm not compassionate to myself.
Exactly.
We all need to rewrite that compassion story that we've got in our lives.
Brilliant. And that's exactly what these conversations are about. And why I set up conversations with compassion. I mean, I'm passionate about compassion because I use it so much intuitively in my work and through self-compassion therapy and compassion focused therapy. But what would you say that compassion and self-compassion means to you? You know,
for me, self-compassion is about forgiveness for so many different things.
I love that.
Yeah, you've got to forgive yourself and forgive others as well, because sometimes you are causing yourself more problems by obsessing about them or the wrong that they've done you than they actually did with whatever it was they've done to you. So forgiveness is a really good way of feeling compassion and being compassionate. And I forgive. I have. There is chronic illness in my life. There is fibromyalgia, anxiety and depression, which have all had major roles to play in my life at a point. At one point I was so anxious I couldn't actually go into my own back garden to hang the washing out. At points in my life I've not been able to get out of bed. Just getting out of bed and going to the toilet or having a shower has just wiped me out for the rest of the day. I've fallen asleep at bus stops on my way into work first thing in the morning, and things like that. So I've had all of these issues, and I've always been tried to push myself into the storyline that I thought I should be following, into the storyline that I thought was expected of me through I need to go to school, I need to get a job, I need to do this, I need to do that. And that's what a person of my gender, my age, my societal background should be doing. And for me, compassion and forgiveness is the saying, well, actually, no, that story doesn't work for me, because that's not, I don't fit in that box. I don't fit in that little square hole. I'm different. I can't work full time. Since I was in my late 20s, I've not been able to work full time.
Right.
And that really sort of work was a big part of my personal identity, because when I was in a violent relationship, that was my only escape, and that was what was keeping me sane in a way. It was such a big part of my life, and it was such a big part of my identity. And my parents have brought me up with a really good work ethic, so I've always done something. I've never not worked in some capacity. Even when I wasn't working, I was volunteering. So for me, that is a big part of me. I always want to feel useful, but the fibromyalgia started to take that away from me, the feeling of feeling useful. And I'd lie in bed some days and I would berate myself harshly for all the things that I wasn't doing, for not being able to get up and do this with the kids, or even before I had the kids, it was I should be getting up and I should be doing doing the dinner, or I should be doing some housework, or I should be doing something productive rather than just lying here feeling sorry for myself. And then I slowly learned, it was when I had children actually, that I learned more compassion for myself and more forgiveness, because it was sort of like, well, if I want to be the best mum I can be, I need to take the time to rest and have a sleep and stuff like that. Because if I just pushed through and I did the washing up, or I did the dusting, or I vacuumed the floor or whatever, I would be a horrible mum by the time they came home, because I'd be tired, I'd be grouchy, I'd be uncomfortable, I'd be in pain, and I'd just take it out on them. I'd be snappy, I'd shout at them, I'd have very little patience, I wouldn't want to do anything with them. And then I sort of realised that if I have a nap in the afternoon, I gave myself permission to have a nap in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I schedule one in for myself every day, a nap between 1 and 1:30. If I need it, I'll take it. If I don't need it, brilliant, I've got an extra hour to do something. But it means I'm the best mum I can be, and it's good for me too, because then I don't have this negative story coming through my head about how useless I am and how bad I am at things. So that was when I sort of started taking real steps into self-compassion. It's changing that story of how bad I am and what I should be doing to how great I am, because look what I am doing. And it round.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You saying that is exactly right. You know, what you did was shift from shame, from I need to be doing this, I'm expected to do this, if I'm not doing this, I'm not good enough, I'm not getting it right, I'm not worthy, you know, and actually shifting that to statements that were around what you needed, and your choice. So you shifted the shame to saying, I choose to do this, I choose to look after myself, I choose to decide and create a balance of what I need to do as a mum, and for myself, and for my work, my physical health, my children, and my life, that was based on you, like you say, creating your own story, not dragging around the story of other people and other societal kind of statements and cultures. It's an amazing thing to have done. Really, really amazing.
It took a long time.
And I don't think we ever, you know, even me as a therapist saying this, you know, I don't think we ever fully reach it, you know, because perfection in anything doesn't exist. I don't think we ever fully get to that point. We always slightly wobble, have a couple of steps back, take some steps forward. You know, we think, oh, okay, you know, we have those wobble moments of, you know, the lack of self-belief kicking in, the old story perhaps being triggered, and we have to then, you know, get over that obstacle too. So, you know, I was really interested that your self-compassion journey kind of started when you had your children, that they were the kind of trigger to you saying to yourself, actually, I need to be this, you know, I don't want to be that, you know, that other people have been expecting, or society, or the fact that, you know, the gender issues, and, you know, all of those kind of things. It's a really interesting kind of trigger moment for you, and it's not unusual. It's not unusual for women who become mums to kind of have that shift as well.
It's such a big change, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. And there are so many things. I had sort of started on the journey when I discovered storytelling, to be honest, because I loved storytelling, so I really wanted to do it. So I made sure I was able to do it. But yeah, the real big shift came when I became a mum, and it was just sort of like, well, for me, I'm supposed to have this beautiful house, because I had my mum as a role model, and her house is always lovely. It's always nice. It's such a nice, calm environment to be in. there was always beautiful food on the table. She was always doing something, and I just thought, I'm not my mom. I'm me, and I just changed how it works. It's like, no, then the kids aren't going to keel over dead if there's like a few bits of dust everywhere, and people aren't going to walk into my house and go, oh my god, and run away screaming if there's piles of books all over the place, because books is one of our biggest hoarding things. We've got a lot of books, and they do tend to pile up in corners while we're trying to decide which ones to read. But the people that are my friends don't care what my house looks like. Exactly. The people that care about me, they understand. And another thing that I've learned is that I used to be so obsessed about what everybody else thought about me, what they thought, what everybody was thinking about me, and I still care what people think about me, but I only really, really care about certain people, the people that are important to me. So I'm not going to stress about Joe Bloggs down the street and what he thinks about me if I do something daft with the kids or something, because I'm never going to see him ever again. And again, that was something that I learned through when I had my kids, again, because I had to forcefully put my knee on my child to get her to go back into her pushchair in the middle of Morrison's, because she kept running off, and she kept running off, and I kept telling her, if you're going to run off, I'm going to put you back in your pushchair. And I actually had to physically push her into to put her back in for her own safety, because I was worried that she was going to run into somebody or get hurt or get lost or something. And people were staring, she was screaming, and I was going bright red and getting really flustered. And again, it was like a trigger moment where it was like, actually, these people don't know what's going on. They don't know what's happening in my life. They can't judge me because they don't, they haven't got my daughter. She's autistic, so she has extra specially massive meltdowns anyway. And and that was like one of those pivotal moments. And the people that matter would have known that there'd been a reason behind it. But I mean, you care what people think, but it's not going to. So that's another compassion for me in a way, because I'm not constantly thinking, oh, I've got to look like this, or I've got to do that, and I've got to do this because this is how I've got to act, because that's what a grown-up's supposed to act like, because I don't want to be a grown-up. If you want me to skip down the road with them, I'm going to skip down the road.
Yeah. And then, like you say, self-compassion is also about taking the judgment away. It's about being, non-judgmental to yourself, and it's separating what's important to you, your values and your beliefs, and separating that from what other people might expect or might say or might judge you around, and saying what's more valuable to me, what's more value rather to me, how I think about myself, what my children think of me, what my partner, my family, how they are with me, or the opinion of a stranger, or the opinion of somebody from my past that isn't actually part of my life anymore. So you shift. Self-compassion is about shifting that as well, and saying, what are my values? What's important to me? And giving yourself more value than the old story.
Absolutely, yeah, because you are the most important person to you, and the next person next to you is the most important person to them. Everybody, we're all egocentric. We are the most important person in our lives, and as soon as we accept that and we acknowledge that and we're compassionate about that, then we make space for other people to be important to ourselves as well. If you're not looking after yourself, you can't look after somebody else. It's why they tell you to put your own gas mask on, oxygen mask on first in an aeroplane, because if you're dead, you can't help anybody. And it's the same with everything else. It's the same. If you're exhausted, you can't help everybody. If you're running on empty, you can't help anybody. If you're not compassionate to yourself, if you don't have self-compassion, you can't teach other people to be compassionate, and you can't be compassionate to them.
No.
You've got to be telling the right story to yourself before you can tell the right story to other people. And it's the stories we pass down to our children that are really important, because they've been passed down to us, and there's a lot of stories now that need changing.
A lot of stories that need changing. Absolutely.
It's like, I'm on a mission.
You're on it. I think everybody that has come on, and you know already, who's been with me, and you know them as well, and everybody has that. We're all on that mission of changing the narrative, of changing the story, the story that has been, this blueprint, this kind of blueprint that's actually quite wrong, doesn't have to stay. It can move, it can shift, it can be crumpled up and thrown away, and you can create another blueprint, to create this emotional scaffolding around for safety and security and love and compassion and all the good things. But it is about, I think what we're all doing is we're on a mission to change the narrative and make a really empowered change for anybody that we come across, but work with, live with, who are our family and friends. And I was thinking about, you saying about your narrative and kind of how you changed it, and how did you overcome the blocks? Because some of the things that like I said, some of the things that I hear all the time are, it's lazy, it's self-indulgent. I work with high achieving professional women, and I say high achieving because it's a particular personality type. Perfectionists, everything has to be just right, the feeling that things aren't good, the best isn't good enough, that it has to be a sense of something else. So that's what I mean by high achieving and so professional entrepreneurial women that are so obviously kind of doing what they're doing, being mom, running their business, blah, 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 all of those things. And then where's them, And so I hear the statements of, it's lazy, it's self-indulgent, I don't have time for it. How is it supposed to fit into my life? So I was kind of thinking, whether you could share what were the obstacles for you, and how did you find that you overcame them, or are you still overcoming them? I think sometimes
I'm still overcoming them. I am a perfectionist. I have acknowledged that perfection isn't there, and better done is better than perfect, and trying to get it out there rather than just I'm a champion procrastinator. I love it. I actually managed to procrastinate by reading a book on procrastination. I am skilled at that art, and once I realized I understood myself in that manner a lot more, I've become a lot more focused in what I'm actually doing, and I'm setting myself deadlines, and I set myself things like, I've set a date for a training session that I'm doing, a mastermind, and I set the date and I got it out there, and I hadn't even written the mastermind before I did it. I would be there and I would be writing it, and then that's not good enough, I'm writing it, that's not good enough, and it would never get done. So I set the date to do it and get it out into the world and tell people I'm doing it, and then I get undo it, and then I've only got to a certain point to get it done. To perfection. And if it's not perfect, then I'm the only person that really knows that, because I've learned that through storytelling. Because I'm a performance storyteller, and I tell a story from memory, and they change every single time that I tell the story. They're never exactly the same, and sometimes I'm halfway through a story and I think, oh, no, I forgot a bit. So I managed to shoehorn it in, and it's it's the same story at the end of the day. It's basically the same story. It's just how I deliver it and how I tell it that's different. And people have still enjoyed it, and they've lived it, and they've laughed at the right places, and they've applauded at the end and everything. And sometimes I think, oh, that wasn't perfect, but it was sort of like, well, it doesn't have to be perfect for them to enjoy it. It's perfect because they enjoyed it and it went through, and I didn't collapse in a big heat of nerves in the middle of the stage. So dropping the need for perfection has really helped with that. And there was something else I was going to tell you, and I've forgotten. It's popped out of my head just as I was doing that, but it's something about the procrastination side of things. But it will come back to me, I'm sure.
Because that, one of the major things is the recognition that perfectionism doesn't exist.
No.
You're trying to grasp onto a cloud.
Yeah.
And I often describe perfectionism as fear dressed up in a fur coat. And because it's fear that we're not going to be good enough. It's fear that it's not going to be well received. It's fear that people are going to judge us if it doesn't look, if it doesn't look perfect, if there aren't any flaws, But the fact of the matter is, we're all flawed. we're all. Everything we do, has a flaw to it. It's not. It's not going to be. It's not going to be this Shangri-La perfection, because it doesn't exist. And so,
sorry.
No, go on.
Sorry, what one person sees as perfection, somebody else would see as different. My husband's an artist, and he's an incredible artist, and I look at his work and think that's amazing. And all he ever does is see it and see the faults in it. He's starting to change. He's starting to be a lot more accepting of how good his work is. But yeah, a lot of artists do that, and a lot of perfectionists do it. They just see what's wrong in it. They don't see the perfection in it. I was looking in the mirror this morning, and I put on a vest top, and I looked, and I was thinking all the flabby bits around here, and I was thinking, why is this bit more toned than this bit? And it was sort of like, why am I doing that? Why am I looking at it? Why do you look in the mirror and you automatically see the bad bits? You don't sit there, look at the mirror, and you think, wow, your hair looks amazing today. Or so I stopped, and I thought, right, I'm not going to look at that bit. I'm going to, change it and change the story. And I went out. I have never in my life gone out in short shorts and a vest top before. I honestly, I don't think short shorts, not really short shorts, not show your bum short shorts, but into mid thigh, not into down to my knees. And I went out vest top, short shorts, and I felt fine. I felt good because I've been working hard. It's consistency as well. I think that's what I was going to say. Consistency. Doing something all the time, and over time it builds up, because I've been trying to lose weight and get fit for years. I've always been chunky, and it never bothered me in my younger years, but then as it started to affect my health even more, it started to become a big issue. And when I became a mom and put on the pounds with the pregnancies and everything, and then I started to gain even more weight, it was just it was just getting to the point where I was unhealthily fat. But I tried diets before and tried exercise, and it didn't work, and that was the story I was coming round with in my head. So every night before I went to bed, I would tell myself, I am fit, I am healthy, I'm fit, I am healthy, just as a little repetitive story. But the thing is, when you're drifting off at night, that's when you're closest to, without meditation or anything like that, that's when you're closest to your subconscious. So your brain, you feed that then into your subconscious, and your subconscious thinks, well, that's what I'm supposed to be like, and this isn't what I'm supposed to be like. So the subconscious then makes you take action to become what you're like. And I started eating healthier and losing the weight. And then I realized I needed somebody to be accountable to, which is where coaching comes in really, really well, because that is somebody that you're accountable to. So I signed up to a personal trainer. And the change has been amazing. Since I signed up to the personal trainer, I've lost 3 stone, nearly 3 stone. I've dropped from an 18 to a 14 dress size. I'm fitter, I'm healthier, I can run around with the kids, I can do all this sort of stuff. So it's repetitiveness, having somebody to be accountable to, and not just yourself. And I've even come away today on this week, never done this before either, and I did my PT yesterday morning in my mum's garden, and I got up early this morning and did another PT fit class. I often look at myself and think, who is this person that is getting up early and sneaking off in the morning to go and do a PT session? But
it's who she's supposed to be. She's who she wants to be. Yeah.
But it's the self-compassion. It's like I was saying, I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to exercise, but I made the time to exercise, and making the time to exercise has given me more time throughout the day, because then the days I do my exercise and I do my personal training, I have a lot more energy throughout the day.
Brilliant.
So when you are self-compassionate and you do those good things for yourself, you're not being lazy, you're not being self-indulgent, you are just giving yourself the right tools to be the best you that you can be. So,
and I mean, it's that commitment to yourself. So it's a commitment to yourself and who you are, because the question I always ask people, women that I work with, is I say to you, I ask them who they are, and they often give me a label.
Yeah, I'm a mom.
I'm a mum. I'm a business owner. I'm a nurse. I'm a this. I'm a that. I'm a wife. I'm a partner. And then I say, they're really interesting. I'm glad that you have those. Let's pop them to one side, and you tell me who you are. And it's very interesting, because then there's this, I don't know. Well, I know who I want to be. I want to be, I want to be slightly slimmer, or I want to be fit. I want to be healthy. I want to be able to sleep more. I want less anxiety. I want to be a woman that is able to do ... And so it's a fascinating process, and you're absolutely right. It's about that commitment to yourself, about, what you want to do. It's about gaining the support from, in recognizing what you want to do, gaining the support of who you think might help you. So with you, your coach, your PT, I was considering getting one myself, because my self-motivation, for me, it's motivation. My self-motivation is I embed myself on the laptop most of the day, but I have bought a treadmill, so I do a lot of my training, as in, I watch training while I'm on the treadmill. So it's about being able to say to yourself that you're worthy enough to make those decisions, to say, this is how I want to be, and this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah. If you when you tell yourselves the right story and you work with your subconscious, you will find it easier to actually move forward to what you're supposed to be, because your brain will, your subconscious and your conscious are, they're two different things. They don't talk to each other.
They don't talk to each other, but the one that's in more control is the subconscious.
It's the subconscious, yeah, absolutely. And if you can talk to the subconscious, as you're going to sleep at night, it's the most amazing time to connect with your subconscious, and you will. And your stories, the stories that you tell yourself, the more you tell them, they become part of your subconscious. So if somebody said to you at one point or another, "Oh, you're a dreadful driver," then you remember that, and then you'll start picking out all the little bits that you've done that have been wrong for that, to back up that story. So you'll think, oh yeah, I pulled out too quick on this one, and I stalled at the lights at this one, and I did that, and I did this, and you won't pick out all the good times you drove to counteract that story. It's so you have to work backwards and think, right, okay, so I might have done this, but I've also done this and this and this that prove that I'm a good driver, and then slowly that story becomes the dominant story, and you become a better driver, because you're not constantly thinking, oh, I'm a bad driver. Because if you think you're a bad driver, you will drive badly. If you think you will.
With self-limiting beliefs, when we hear them enough in our heads, we will search for the proof of them.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we'll find it. We'll find it because we're looking.
Yeah, it's the same as when you're pregnant and all of a sudden the world's full of pregnant women, or you buy a green car, or you buy a certain Toyota or something like that. The world's full of these cars.
Yeah.
You've never seen them before. But if you're looking for something, you'll see it. Your brain automatically functions by looking at for certain things.
And what self-compassion does is it helps rewire the brain.
Yeah, self-compassion really does help rewire the brain, because you're talking to yourself in a completely different voice.
Yes, exactly that. Exactly. Love it. Love it. So just because we're coming to the end of the time, I've loved this, Polly. I think it's been a great conversation. I've loved hearing about you and what it means for you and everything. But in terms of your, I think you've actually answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. In terms of your business and the people that you work with, compassion must be kind of high up there in you approaching the people that you work with.
Absolutely.
And help them.
Yeah, absolutely. My idea before lockdown was to actually get out and perform on stages and teach people, tell people my story, and give them the first step in self-compassion, so they can realise that it's okay to do that for themselves. By learning my story, they can look at me and think, oh, if she could do it, I could do it. What's the difference? So it's people that never ever thought about putting themselves first for anything, and there's too many of us out there that there. So the biggest thing with Dandelion Tales is giving people permission to be compassionate with themselves. And that's the biggest thing, is to start telling themselves the right stories to be compassionate. Brilliant.
And I love the fact that you do that. It's like, I think there needs to be a compassion huddle. Just deciding about all these women that are coming, because I've got, the women, including yourself, that are coming, have come on and are coming on over the coming weeks and months. It's incredible, and everybody is like, I want to let's destigmatize this. Let's get these stories out there, and thanks, Helen, for setting this up. It's kind of like, it's just so that we can do this. We can be compassionate. We can be compassionate to ourselves, and it's not a bad thing. It's empowering. It's healing. And it's a joy when we feel it. It's liberating. It's absolutely liberating. So if people are wanting to work with you, how do they get hold of you? Where can they find you?
They can find me at the moment. They can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Facebook, www.facebook.com/Dandelion Tales 1. The same handle for Instagram, Dandelion Tales 1. I'm building my website as we speak, and that's dandeliontales.co.uk. So that will be up and running soon.
Brilliant.
Those are the best ways to contact me at the moment.
And I think it would be great to have you back on in a couple of months' time before Christmas, and kind of hear where you are and what's happening, and have this conversation again, because I think it would be different again.
Absolutely.
I think that's the nature of it. But it has been absolutely. Do you have, some people have some free resources or anything like that? Do you have anything at the moment, or is that something in the future?
It is generating. I am generating them. Again, it's one of those things where it's sort of like, oh, what do I do? Because one of the problems that we have is when we know something, we don't know that other people don't know it. So it's sort of like
exactly.
Go back to where I was before I knew it, because I've been doing the storytelling and all of this for ages. It's just the business side of things I haven't been doing.
Okay. So you're taking that forward, and I can't wait to see where it goes. I think it'll be fantastic. We've got Mandy, who is in my free group. Anybody that's watching on Facebook business page or on YouTube or on IGTV, I do have a free group, and I think, Polly, you're in the free group, which is fantastic. that is for women who are wanting to develop their self-compassion, to feel in an environment where they can start to express that, and also kind of start to stand confidently in their self-belief and self-worth. So I do, this week I've been a bit remiss, but I do provide prompts, and generally daily prompts, but also kind of connect with you around your well-being. And that's the Brave Woman Collective on Facebook. So please, if you're watching and you want to be part of that community, it is a really nice, warm, nurturing community. But Mandy is in that group, and Mandy says, thanks so much, Helen and Polly. I really need to practice self-compassion. Mandy, we've got you. We've got you on that. And Facebook user, not sure who Facebook user is, but Facebook user, thank you. Wonderful conversation. And I agree with you, Facebook user. I think, Polly, what you've brought to this conversation has been amazing, and I can't thank you enough for changing from yesterday, and coming in this evening and doing this with me. It's been fantastic.